Today we're taking a look at Encodya, a 2.5D dystopian adventure featuring a young orphan Tina and her care robot S.A.M. 53, who I'll refer to as Sam, living together on the streets of Neo-Berlin. The world is controlled by propaganda and a corrupted government, and Tina and Sam must carefully navigate through the many different locales in order to discover the truth behind Tina's parentless childhood and maybe some larger truths about the world of Neo-Berlin. Encodya is available starting January 26th on PC, Mac, and Linux via Steam and GOG for $30. The developer has stated that a console release is possible in the future, but they want to make sure that the PC version is as good as it can be before moving forward. And let me tell you, I think it's pretty darn good. But pretty darn good doesn't mean perfect, as I think the story and character building kind of carry the weaker portions of the game, but we'll get to that in due time. Hey guys, it's Cody with Indie Game Pulse, where we bring you the hottest indie games with the coolest memes. If you want to find out about the newest and best indie games and hear genuine reviews from an indie game fanatic like yourself, click the subscribe button and notification bell to make sure you don't miss another video. Let's get into it. So, Encodya is a point-and-click adventure through and through. You'll navigate Tina and Sam through many different locations throughout Neo-Berlin, discovering restaurants, shops, vending machines, and so on. Tina and Sam are confined to live on the rooftops, scavenging for food and parts to keep up their health and shelter, while also evading the police and seeking to find truth in the mystery of Tina's past. It's a cute story, and I really got a lot out of the relationship between Tina and Sam having been assigned to her at birth for protection. The ways they interact with each other and with other people is endearing. You'll also be able to talk to more than 30 different NPCs and learn more about their background while they help you along your way. Some characters will respond better to Tina and her human nature, and some will prefer Sam's calculated robot characteristics, and you're easily able to switch between controlling either of them and experiment with each situation. The story and characters are filled with tongue-in-cheek humor and recognizable names like the political leader Mr. Rumpf and the computer store clerk Dick Bates. Encodya prompted more than a few nose laughs from me throughout my time playing.
Dick Bates. I don't know why, but it sounds familiar.
Not as familiar as Darude Sandstorm, I bet.
And something that I really enjoyed is that all the interactions are voice acted. Sometimes in games like this that are narration heavy but aren't narrated, I'm more likely to just skim the text and get moving on my way. But the narration and writing really drew me deeper into the story and let me focus less on the on-screen text and more on the characters themselves. I'm always a big fan of voice acting when it's done well, and Encodya is no exception.
Master, inventor of Japanese German fusion cuisine.
You mean you make sushi with pork knuckles?
Oh, see? You heard about my marvelous dishes.
It also does cutscenes well and often. They're a nice break from the scavenging and puzzle solving, and again, grant a deeper look into the characters and their situation, as well as the state of the world around them. As far as the pointing and clicking gameplay goes, there are many discoverable items located in every part of the world, most of which are just lying on the ground waiting for you to pick them up. However, there are a few items that are unattainable without combining a few items from your inventory, like putting together 2 sticks with tape to make a longer stick to reach a necessary item. The game does a good job of pointing you in the right direction and telling you pretty specifically what your tasks are, but at times, especially if you play on hard mode without any hints, you may be just traveling back and forth to the same locations and combing them over with fine detail for fear that you might have missed something. And if you can't find anything, then you're just working your way through your inventory, trying to combine items until something works, and then you have a start on your next objective. This was a bit too much work for my liking, as not all of the combinations were intuitive from what characters had said or just from natural intuition, like a 9-year-old girl using metal pliers on an electrified wire? However, like any point-and-click puzzler, you do enjoy that rush of ingenuity and excitement when you find the next clue or someone sends you in the right direction and you can begin working with purpose again. As I mentioned, there are 2 modes, easy and hard. Easy mode allows Tina to ask Sam for hints on where to go or search next, and he will respond with some general direction and guidance. When you ask for these hints though, Sam will recite the same 4 lines of text that you need to click through every single time.
Would you like a but please calculate and I must count?
I think this needs to go, as it just prolongs the conversation while you're already a little frustrated at not making progress. Hard mode, however, takes out the ability to ask for hints and gives you the opportunity to gain exclusive achievements at the end of the game. In my experience, I couldn't even finish the first chapter of the game without restarting and switching to easy mode, but I was under a bit of a time crunch too in order to review the game. Let's talk for a minute about the graphics and art because I am thoroughly impressed at the atmosphere and feel of the world of Neo Berlin. It feels like a living, breathing world with people and robots walking down the streets of downtown, and even though you can't interact with all of them, they lend a sense of realness to this dystopian world. The muted and neon color palettes make the world feel simultaneously dingy and futuristic, like technology has advanced while cleanliness has regressed, and the old has been left behind. It's a really beautiful and depressing world, in my opinion, and mirrors the story quite well. I don't know much about the Unity engine in general, or Unreal Engine for that matter. I play games, I don't make them, but it seems like a common downfall in Unity games, at least the ones that I've played lately, is character detailing. For instance, during some of the cutscenes, it was hard for me to determine emotions based on facial expressions. The voiceover, which again is fantastic, provided a lot of detail and emotion, but there were times I felt like Tina was crying or tearing up, but there was no evidence of that on screen.
My parents are dead, Sam. But I had a father. I'm not just a donor baby, Sam.
It is what it is, and I feel like it's more of an engine capability thing and less of an artistic oversight. I think some folks really enjoy the look of Unity-built games, so this look may appeal more to you. As far as the user interface goes, for the most part it feels clean and fits the screen well enough while staying out of the way, but it is far from perfect. For instance, you're able to open and close your inventory, but since I was struggling to figure out which items to use or combine, I played most of the game with my inventory open, which consequently blocked some discoverable items or pathways from my view. I didn't even know this was happening for about 2 hours, but it had completely halted my progress without me knowing it and caused a lot of frustration. In an exploration-centric game like Encodya, I think this is a pretty big deal, and the fact that you can't rearrange the inventory is pretty crippling as well, especially at times when I was just guessing at combinations of items and having to click and scroll back and forth multiple times. Being able to drag items and rearrange them is an essential part of any inventory in video games, and this needs to be updated.
Not working.
One last strong suit of Encodya is its wonderful soundtrack, giving off jazz bar vibes and classical tones as Tina and Sam amble their way through the depressing world of Neo Berlin. Like any good soundtrack, there are times when it just blends in with the background and becomes part of the scenery, immersing you into the underbelly of the world. And then there are times when it surfaces and you get a glimpse of the light piano and smooth saxophone melodies. It's a joy to listen to when it does surface, and I would give this soundtrack another listen while doing some focus-heavy work, like writing video game reviews. So the question is, should you play Encodya? I recommend it. Encodya wonderfully portrays its main characters Tina and Sam, as well as a variety of NPCs. It will also immerse you in a dark and somewhat depressing world filled with struggles similar to those we face today, with corruption and media taking center stage in Encodya's story. While there are a few hang-ups in the user interface and graphics, I can say that the positives of the story, world building, and character development heavily outweigh the few negatives that I posed. I would advise playing on easy mode if you don't want a real brain cruncher though. I think the price of $30 is just about right on Encodya for 9 to 10 hours worth of content, and with an opening week sale too, I hope many of you will give this one a try and let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching my review of Encodya. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe so you can be notified when I publish my next indie game review, and let me know in the comments what you think of Encodya. I'd love to hear from all of you out there. Thank you as well to my 121 subscribers for your continued support. For more indie game reviews and countdowns, check out the videos on your screen now, and I'll see you on the other side.